The 15-minute suspension is over. I have now received from the clerk the results of the election of chairman and deputy chairman in the 3 rooms, and I will announce the results. Public Accounts Committee. Chairman is Mr. Ibrahim Sheikh. Deputy Chairman Mr. Kenneth Leung. Committee on Members' Interests. Chairman Mr. Yu Si Wing. Deputy Chairman Ms. Claudia Mo. Committee on Rules of Procedure. Chairman is Mr. Paul Chair. Deputy Chairman is Mr. Kenneth Leung. The House Committee will present these proposals from the committees to the President for appointment. Next, item 8. Nomination and election of members of the Legislative Council to advisory governing bodies. On the 14th of October, in the House Committee meeting, members agreed that according to the paragraph 11 of CB bracket 2 16 to 17 and also paras 3 to 4 in CB bracket 2 3 16 17 and the election procedures therein to nominate and elect members to the Disaster Relief Fund Advisory Committee, the Po Leung Cook Advisory Board, the Tonghua Group of Hospitals Advisory Board, the Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and the Court of the University of Hong Kong at the meeting today. According to these nomination and election procedures, a valid nomination must be made orally by one member to be seconded by at least another member and be accepted by the member nominated. If there are more members nominated than the numbers to be appointed, members will make use of the electronic voting system to take a vote. Members who get the highest number of votes will be elected. Members may vote for as many nominees as the number required for appointment only. If after the first poll, if 2 candidates have the same number of votes and we cannot decide who has been decided, and we must use the electronic voting system to take another poll. If after this separate poll is held and still there is a tie, so we cannot decide who is nominated, the chairman will draw lots to decide which candidate can join the relevant advisory governing body. So we come to item A, nomination and election of 2 members to the Disaster Relief Fund Advisory Committee. Can I now ask members to elect 2 members to join the Disaster Relief Fund Advisory Committee? Nominations. Mr. Charles Mok, I nominate Dr. Helena Wong. Any seconder? Ms. Tanya Chen seconds. Dr. Helena Wong, do you accept nomination? I do. Any other nomination? Mr. Lau Kwok Fan, I nominate Ms. Priscilla Leung. Any seconder? Ms. Elizabeth Quat seconds. Ms. Priscilla Leung, do you accept nomination? I do not accept. Alternatively, I'd like to nominate Mr. Kenneth Lau. Ms. Priscilla Leung doesn't accept nomination, and she nominates Mr. Kenneth Lau. Any seconder? Mr. Jeffrey Lam seconds. Mr. Kenneth Lau, do you accept nomination? You do? We have 2 valid nominations, Dr. Helena Wong and Mr. Kenneth Lau. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? According to the practice I have adopted in this meeting, I will count to 3, and if you want to make a nomination, please raise your hand. After I have counted to 3, the nomination will close. 1, 2, 3. Nomination is closed. Since nomination is closed, I declare Dr. Helena Wong and Mr. Kenneth Lau elected to join the Disaster Relief Fund Advisory Committee. Next, item B, we need to nominate and elect 1 member to join the Po Leung Cook Advisory Board. According to paragraph 18(2)(e) of the schedule to the Po Leung Cook Ordinance, we need to elect among ourselves 1 member to join the advisory board. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin, I nominate Mr. Wong Ting Kwong. Any seconder? Dr. Lo Wai Kwok seconds. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, do you accept nomination? I do. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong accepts nomination. Any other nominations? Again, I will do the same with other committees and governing bodies. I will count to 3, and after that nomination will be closed. 1, 2, 3. Okay, nomination is closed. I declare Mr. Wong Ting Kwong elected to join the Po Leung Kuk Advisory Board. Item C. Nominating and electing one member to join the Tung Wah Group of Hospitals Advisory Board. According to paragraph 19(2)(c) of the schedule to the Tung Wah Group of Hospitals Ordinance, members should elect among themselves one member to join the Tung Wah Group of Hospitals Advisory Board. May I have a nomination, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong? I nominate Mr. Gary Chan. Who seconds, please? Mr. Horace Cheung seconds. Mr. Gary Chan, do you accept nomination? I do, Chairman. Mr. Kenneth Leung, I nominate Mr. Raymond Chan. Mr. Kenneth Leung nominates Mr. Raymond Chan. Any seconder? Ms. Tanya Chan seconds. Mr. Raymond Chan, do you accept nomination? I do. Any other nominations? I will count to 3. If you want to make a nomination, please raise your hand. Nomination will be closed after that. 1, 2, 3. Nomination is closed. Since we have 2 valid nominations, and since the nominations are more than 1, members please use the electronic voting system to take a vote. Members, please only vote for one member. If you have already voted for one member and yet you again choose another candidate, then there will be a reminder on the screen to remind you that you have already voted for the right number of candidates. If there is no question, please now use the electronic screen to take your vote.
請各位議員了解是否
Members, have you cast your vote? Not yet. Mr. Jeffrey Lam needs more time.
好，我再詢問議員。
I'll ask members again. Members, please verify your vote. The member you have chosen will turn to green and there will be a tick against the name. If you see a name changing to green and if there is a tick against it, it shows you have already cast your vote. Please verify your choice. Any questions? If not, voting is closed. The clerk, please show the election result and read out the number of votes that each candidate has received. Mr. Chen Hek-kan, 34 votes. Mr. Chen Chi-chin, 20 votes. I declare Mr. Chen Hek-kan elected to the Tung Wah Group of Hospitals Advisory Board.
跟住去到
Moving on to D, nomination and election of 3 members to the Council of the CUHK under 11.7. 3 members will be elected to join the Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Ms. Alice Mack nominate Mr. Ho Kai Ming. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin seconds. Mr. Ho, you accept the nomination? Yes. Mr. James To nominate Dr. Edward Yu. Mr. Wu Chi-wai seconds. Dr. Yu. Dr. Edward Yu, you accept the nomination. You confirm for him. Right, Mr. Siu Ka-fai. Mr. Siu Ka-fai nominates Mr. Tommy Cheung, seconder. Mr. Shek. Mr. Cheung, you accept the nomination? Yes. Mr. Horace Cheung. Nominate Mr. Lau Kwok Fun, any seconder. Mr. Siu Ka-fai seconds. Mr. Lau, accept the nomination. Any other nominations? Any further nominations? All right. As per usual practice, I count to 3. Yes, Mr. Kenneth Leung. I nominate Mr. Raymond Chan. Any seconder? Ms. Tanya Chen seconds. Mr. Chen, you accept the nomination? Yes. Dr. Fernando Zhang. I nominate Mr. Pt2. Any seconder? Mr. Raymond Chen seconds. Mr. Chu, accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Mr. Lam Chuk Ting, I nominate Ms. Helena Wong. Any seconder? Mr. Wu Chi Wai seconds. Madam Wong, you accept the nomination? Right. Any further nominations? By the count of 3, right, please, clerk, will you keep an eye on the members? 1, 2, 3. Right, I bring the nomination to a close. We have 7 nominated members: Mr. Ho Kai Ming, Dr. Edward Yu, Mr. Tommy Zhang, Mr. Lau Kwok Fan, Mr. Raymond Chan, Mr. Pt2, and Dr. Helena Wong. As the number of members nominated exceeds the number of seats, we're going to vote by using the electronic system. Members are supposed to select 3 members. If you select more than 3, by the time you hit the 4th member, there will be a signal to warn you that you have exceeded the number. Unless you have further questions, let's begin to vote.
All
right. Are you done with your voting? Are you done with your voting? Please check your votes. The candidates chosen will turn green with a tick against them. Have you verified your votes? All right, unless there are any questions, I now end the voting. Will the clerk please show the results and announce the number of votes? Mr. Ho Kai Ming, 35. Dr. Edward Yu, 20. Mr. Tommy Zhang, 35. Mr. Lau Kwok Fan, 36. Mr. Raymond Chen, 13. Mr. Pt2, 11. Dr. Helena Wong, 8. All right, the 3 members elected to join the Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong are Mr. Ho Kai Ming, Mr. Tommy Zhang, and Mr. Lau Kwok Fan. E. Nomination and election of 5 members to join the Court of University of Hong Kong. Under the rule of the court, 5 members will be elected to join the Court of Hong Kong U. Under the resolution of the Court of Hong Kong U, of the 5 members elected, 1 will be selected to join the Council of Hong Kong U in personal capacity. Mr. Kenneth Leung. I nominate Mr. Ip Kin Yuen. All right, Mr. Ip Kin Yuen. And the seconder, Ms. Claudia Mo seconds. Mr. Ip, you accept the nomination? Yes. Dr. Priscilla Leung. I nominate Mr. Abraham Sheck. Mr. Wilson Orr seconds. Mr. Sheck, accept the nomination? Yes. Any further nomination? Mr. Wilson Orr, I nominate Mr. Horace Zhang. All right. Mr. Gary Chen seconds. Mr. Zhang, you accept the nomination? Yes. Mr. James Toh, nominate Miss Claudia Mo. All right, Miss Claudia Mo. And the seconder. Mr. Kenneth Leung seconds. Miss Claudia Mo, you accept the nomination? Yes. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, I nominate Mrs. Regina Ip. Right, Mrs. Regina Ip, seconder. Mr. Stephen Ho, seconds. Mrs. Ip, you accept the nomination? Yes. Any further nominations? Any further nominations? All right, as per usual practice, by the count of 3, if you have further nominations, please indicate 1, 2, 3. We have 5 members nominated: Mr. Ip Kun Yuen, Mr. Abraham Shek, Mr. Horace Chung, Ms. Claudia Mo, and Mrs. Regina Ip. As the number nominated meets the quota, we don't have to put this to the vote this time. I declare that Mr. Ip Kun Yuen, Mr. Abraham Shek, Mr. Horace Chung, Ms. Claudia Mo, and Mrs. Regina Ip validly elected to join the court of the University of Hong Kong. Item 9. Election of members of the Electoral Commission. Under Rule 4 of the ROP, we have the chairman, deputy chairman of the council, and no more than 10 other members elected by and from amongst members of the council, and they will be chairman and deputy chairman under AS 27 stroke 1617 as of 24th of October. That's the deadline of a nomination. 12 valid nominations have been received. Mr. Chen Kin-bo yesterday wrote in to the Secretariat to withdraw his nomination. So as it stands, we have 11 nominations. And they are Mr. Abraham Shek, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, Mr. Chen Hek Kan, Mr. Paul Che, Mr. Ma Fong Kwok, Mr. Charles Mok, Mr. Raymond Chan, Ms. Alice Mack, Dr. Helena Wong, Mr. Felix Chung, and Ms. Tanya Chan. As the number nominated exceeds the quota, and under the rule of the endorsed by the Electoral Commission, I announced that there will be a secret ballot to elect the members, and there will be a simple majority in the counting process. The number of members nominated cannot exceed the number of seats, and the members with the highest number of seats will be declared the winners. And we are going to distribute the ballot papers and also a stamp with a tick on it to members. Later on, after members have put a stamp on the ballot paper, I'll bring the voting process to a close, and there will not be any further distribution of ballot papers. And the duty staff will be collecting the ballot papers. Members are supposed to put the ballot papers into the ballot box. If members haven't done so, please do not leave your seat. Members are supposed to put a stamp on the box next to the candidates. Please take note that the number of members should not exceed 10, and the tick should be stamped inside the box. If there are more than 10 ticks on the ballot paper will be declared void. Will duty staff please show members a sample of the valid ballot paper? Please proceed according to the requirement when you're putting the stamp. If you've got it wrong, please raise your hand and indicate, and your ballot paper will be replaced. According to the rules, the election will take place in the House Committee. As chairman of the House Committee, I will make sure that each ballot paper will be properly stamped before being counted. If members find that the stamps are not in line with the requirements, I will handle these doubtful ballot papers. I will judge whether the ballot papers will be valid in accordance with the established principles. As this is a secret ballot, please do not show the ballot paper to other members. Once you've stamped the ballot paper, please fold them. You don't have to fold a second time. Have you all got a ballot paper? Have you all got a ballot paper?
我而家要剔下大佬，係10個係嘛？10個 max 係嘛？好，好，我想。
All right. Have you all stamped the ballot paper? Do you need more time for the process? By the count of 3, unless I hear from any members, I bring the voting process to a close, and the duty staff will not distribute any further ballot papers. 1, 2, 3. Right, voting is now closed. Now will the duty staff please collect the ballot papers? Will those members who have been distributed the ballot paper please put the ballot paper into the ballot box? Unless you've done so, do not leave your seat. We have distributed 57 ballot papers. The Secretariat will be counting the votes with the aid of the electronic system, and the ballot papers will be put into the scanner, and the system will be projecting the votes onto the screen to my left, and the duty staff will also show the scanned ballot papers on the right-hand side screen. The counting will be going on under the supervision of the accountants of the Secretariat, and the screen will show the number of votes, and the ballot papers will be destroyed under the supervision of the Secretariat after the process.
I'd like to ask whether there are any ballot papers that have not been collected. The clerk, have we collected all distributed ballot papers? I'd like to remind members that the meeting is in process. Now we will count the votes. I will deal with ballot papers that are clearly in order. The clerk, please put these ballot papers on the scanner one by one, and please use the projector to show such ballot papers to members.
但係唔係喺嗰度睇，唔係投影器。OK，OK。 都 OK。OK， 淺色冇話唔得嘅，可能佢人係淺色。 照讀嘅喎，係咯，呢個咧一做緊，但係最後呢啲就一路已經睇緊嘅啦嘛，係咪？呢邊睇到，係每個睇到邊？呢邊就有張選票。 張都要10幾秒啊！會之後就查閲呢個啦。有即時睇。有啊，肯定多。我唔知，我問我唔知，佢哋反正問下先。我問下佢哋先，我冇諗住要咁多。要。再讀一次咯，再讀一次咯。 跟住佢哋又要去暫停10分鐘，係嘛？使唔使啊？唔係喎，如果需要暫停嘅時候，呢個咧，呢個唔關事，兩名要地題未相同先要咗，呢個唔需要。即係有投票。OK， 明白，唔知冇。
下個禮拜2
唔怪之你話做好耐，做幾耐？一腳一斜上，佢都算數嘅，佢冇玩嘅，所以我冇講。好，我會問嘅係嘛？係咪最後一張啦？咁係咪57張啊？好，會計師，你是否已經完成
Accountants, have you completed the verification? Now, hold on a second, we do have the accountant there. We have distributed 57 ballot papers and the number tallies, as you can see from the screen. Can we verify all the votes? Alright, the accountant is verifying the votes.
小説安排㗎，唔知。唔係，我哋嘅會計師，我哋都有個立法會，都有嘅。立法會都有會計師，會計師而家好。
我以為嘥埋啲錢，選港姐要請會計師。
義務嘅。黃龍德啊嘛，你冇睇咩？年年都係佢嗰個。黃龍德啊嘛，每年都係佢㗎。
出下鏡嘅啫，嗰個嘢都係。
佢有責任。OK， 好。會計師，你已經。
All right, accountant. Are you done with the verification? I got a message that is okay. Yes, Madam Chair. Everything is in order. All right. That was the Secretariat accountant. The counting has been done. Will the clerk please show the results and please read out the number of votes? Mr. Abraham Sheck, 36. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, 36. Mr. Gary Chan, 36. Mr. Paul Che, 36. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok, 34. Mr. Charles Mok, 54. Mr. Chen Shi Chun, 22. Ms. Alice Mack, 35. Dr. Helena Wong, 52. Mr. Felix Zhong, 35. And Ms. Tanya Chan, 51. Right, please show the results. I declare the following members elected: Mr. Abraham Sheck, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, Mr. Gary Chan, Mr. Paul Che, Mr. Ma Fung Kwok, Mr. Charles Mok, Ms. Alice Mack, Dr. Helena Wong, Mr. Felix Zhong, Ms. Tanya Chan. Those members have been elected to the Electoral Commission. Item 10. Election of members of the Committee on Access to Electoral Documents and Records. Under 74A of the ROP, the members include the chairman of the House Committee and deputy chairman, and no more than 10 other members will be elected to the committee. The chairman and vice chairman will be the chairman and vice chairman of the committee. According to paper COA 4/16/17, as of the 24th of October, the deadline of nomination, 8 valid nominations have been received. One nominated member, Mr. Chen Kin-po, notified the Secretariat that he would withdraw the nomination. So we have 7 nominations, and they are Mr. Abraham Sheck, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, Mr. Gary Chan, Mr. Charles Mok, Mr. Raymond Chen, Dr. Helena Wong, and Ms. Tanya Chan. Do I hear any further nominations? Mr. Wong Kwok Kin. Nominate Ms. Alice Mack. Ms. Alice Mack, Mr. Luk Chung Hong seconds. Ms. Alice Mack, can you accept the nomination? Yes. Mr. Yu Si-wing, I nominate Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. All right, Mr. Ma Fung Kwok, Mr. Chen Ying seconds. Mr. Ma, you accept the nomination? Yes. Any further nominations? Mr. Gary Chan, I nominate Mr. Felix Zhong. All right, Mr. Felix Zhong, seconder. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin, seconds. Mr. Zhong, you accept the nomination? Yes. Ms. Tanya Chan. Mr. Ati Chu, and the seconder. Mr. Kenneth Leung, second. Mr. Chu, you accept the nomination? Yes. Any further nominations? Ms. Claudia Mo. All right. Ms. Mo nominates Mr. Nathan Law. Mr. Kenneth Leung, seconds. Mr. Law, you accept the nomination? Yes. Any further nominations? Mr. Horace Zhang. I nominate Mr. Paul Che. Mr. Paul Che, seconder. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong. Mr. Che, you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Mr. Che, accept the nomination. Dr. Helena Wong, I nominate Mr. James To. Mr. James To, seconder. Ms. Tanya Chen, second. Mr. To, you accept the nomination? Mr. To? Yes, I do. Any further nominations? Dr. Helena Wong. Madam Chair, I withdraw from the nomination. I don't accept the nomination. All right, you decline the nomination. All right, have you got it? By the count of 3, unless I hear further nominations, I'll bring this nomination process to a close. And if the number exceeds, we'll put it to the vote. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's it for the nomination. We have now 13 members being nominated. As the number of members nominated exceeds the number of seats available, according to the rules endorsed on the 28th of March regarding the nomination, I propose that we put it to the vote. And we have to prepare the ballot papers. We have to break for 10 minutes for the duty staff to get the ballot papers ready. Please remain seated during this break. And we are coming back in 10 minutes time. Please take note.